Welcome to another edition of Notepad Sports Talk. We're going to get right into it. No intro. So, brother, we were having some discussions regarding the last show and some questions that are kind of being asked. So, what is it you were thinking, you were wondering?
So I know that obviously Skubal's a big deal here in Detroit.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday we talked about best case scenarios for the Tigers because as fans, I feel like we dedicate our fanhood to the team and trying to better the team. So it's really coming down to now, well, we just looked at what was the best for the Tigers. How about we take a look at like what's best for Skubal?
Right.
And moving forward as far as what he's looking for, if there is a trade, what other free agents are available for the Tigers to bring in. Because if they aren't trading, they keep him. There's a lot that's going on. It's the same situation with the Tigers that we talked about on our last show, but from the view of Skubal and his camp.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting question because just because what's best for the Tigers doesn't mean what's best for the player, right? And when we're looking at the Tiger situation, we were mentioning probably the best thing for the Tigers is to sign Skubal to whatever he wants as far as annual average goes, but reducing the length of the years, right? So Skubal's not on this massive contract, going into his 40 years old, 41 years old, whatever it's going to be. Okay, well, obviously a long-term contract's best for Skubal, right? The more money you want to capitalize on how good you've been for the last 2 years, winning back-to-back Cy Young is not easy to do. So I don't blame him for wanting to maximize the contract that he's going to get because he deserves it, right? Like
Absolutely.
everybody wants to make the amount of money the most money they can make, and you can't. I don't know. I just don't think you can be angry at someone for trying to do that, even if it means your favorite player is going to a different team. So here's what I
But you
think.
also but you also have to you have to do what's best for you, and even if it's the but is at the detriment of the team, right? There's the player, and then there's the team.
Correct. But we know that with no salary cap in baseball right now, that just like the Dodgers are doing, if hypothetically, if Detroit wanted to, they could run up their payroll. Like if they really wanted to. Like it's not like in football where you sign a massive contract for Jared Goff and all of a sudden you're hindering the rest of the team. You can still bring in quality free agents because it's not there's no salary cap. You can still do that. But
But we
actually,
also we're not the Dodgers who are worldwide known, a worldwide brand that can that's bringing in lots of dollars to help with those contracts.
okay, wow,
I know. Open up another can.
yeah,
Let's just start with the Skubal question. His camp, what is going to be best for that player moving forward?
before I say this, just 1 second, because I have to say this. We know that Detroit in 2024, their total revenue they made was $320 million. Okay, their payroll for 2025 was $158 million. So they come
Okay.
just under 50% of their total revenue for the team being spent on a payroll. Okay. Now, the Dodgers are spending a whopping 73% of the total revenue on payroll. And the Mets are spending a massive 90% on payroll and revenue. But of course, they're still paying for some bad contracts. So, whatever. But again,
Right,
let's just put
right.
it out there. Now, obviously, the Dodgers are has the most for revenue of any team at $752 million. But Philadelphia has $519 million, right? And they're spending $340 million for 67%, right? So
Actually,
could
yeah.
they increase, a little bit more to catch up with the Dodgers, an extra 6%? Like, what could that bring them? And then Miami is down there at the bottom. They brought in a total of $317 million. So super, super small, but they're only spending $86 million per year,
Wow.
right? So they're only spending 27% of payroll. What? So what I'm saying is this: if Detroit wanted to, they could spend an additional, let's just call it $100 million. So it's not even going to get upwards of, really, really high percentage. That'll leave $258 million roughly of spending in payroll, and out of $320 million that they make, right? So that $260 million will put them, as far as payroll goes, like right up there towards the top.
Okay.
Okay.
So the
So
possibility is there for them to spend the money. Now,
they can spend more, is all I'm saying.
yeah.
They can spend more,
So
right?
on the backside of that, if you're spending more, it's all added, right? You got to spend the money to make money, right?
Well, how about this? You're right. I just want to point this out, too. I'm sorry. I'm going all kinds of all over the place, but the Dodgers made $752 million in 24. The Yankees made 728, $24 million less. That's it. But the Yankees are only spending about 50% of their total revenue on payroll. Dodgers, again, are upwards of 70 some odd percent. So if you have the revenue, it's not as if the Dodgers are going into debt. Any one of those teams can spend more money. It's that the owners don't want to. That's that's the prohibitive factor is the owners. That's it. Nothing else is prohibiting them. And even Miami is making $317 million a year, or the White Sox making $277 million a year. You don't think that if they put together a better product, more people would show up to support the team and they get more money? And then guess what? You reinvest that back in the team, you get, so on and so forth. That's exactly where you were going with
Yes,
spend money to make money, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Because you bring in the right players, right?
Yes.
Jersey sales go up, ticket sales go up, right? All of that revenue is going to go right back in, and now you go from the 350 million to like 450 million. So you spend an extra million, or whatever, right? And now you're making that extra on the backside.
You're making that extra,
Yeah.
right?
So you spend another 100, you get an extra 100.
But nobody really wants to spend. You got some big names like Boston. That's a big market. They're only spending 42% of their total revenue on payroll.
That's crazy.
You know, so I guess that's overall what I'm saying is it's the Tigers could like a Skubal contract won't handicap the Tigers. Is all I'm
Gotcha.
trying to say, right? Just like again, I know we're so used to thinking in football terms or whatever. We have to stay underneath a certain cap and stuff like that, but that's not here. We just have to make sure that we don't go over the overall revenue, right? Because no owner, and I can totally understand this. No owner is going to want to lose money with the team, right? Owners look at that as an investment. Owners look at that as something that can bring them in money. Fine, whatever. Like we just don't want to go over the revenue, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Owners
The
want to
only
make the hundreds of millions of dollars, not just 20 or $30 million.
the only owner that I know that wants to lose money is the make believe one when they were trying to move the Cleveland Indians
Oh,
out of
right.
Cleveland from the movie Major League.
We Major League. Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
Again,
And there's Oakland. That's kind of what they kind of did to move to Vegas, but that's a whole different story.
they did force that move by playing really bad and poor attendance and the whole
Poor
thing.
attendance.
That, by the way, that stadium in Vegas is gonna be freaking awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Now, just a little sidebar there on Oakland. I keep calling them Oakland. They're no longer Oakland, but you know what I mean. All right. So they have locked up. This has been, unless you're like a follower of the team, they have locked up a lot of their young players recently. Like they just locked up Jacob Wilson for, I think it was 7 years, right? He was runner up for Rookie of the Year, only to his teammate, Nick Kurtz, right? But like it's one of those things where like when you look at like Shea Langoliers, Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, Jacob Wilson, Tyler Soderstrom, that's kind of like a young core. Soderstrom's 24, Wilson's 23, Butler's 24, and Rooker's 29, whatever. Shea Langoliers is 28. You can start seeing kind of what they're building.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even Oakland's starting to actually a
Well,
little.
they forced Oakland's hand, the city of Oakland. They forced their hand. They got moved, and now they got the big stadium. I mean, it's why not, right?
I think that was kind of what was the requirement was going to be. Like, hey, if you move to Vegas, you're going to have to start spending money, right? Like,
Yeah, it makes
yeah,
because otherwise it defeats the purpose of
it defeats the
bringing
purpose.
bringing an MLB team to a new city.
Yep,
And it's going to be exciting in Vegas because it's new, right? So I can
yeah,
imagine that ticket sales are going to be pretty okay, right? So just everyone wanting to go to the new stadium.
it'll be great. The stadium looks, the renderings look amazing. But again, all right, little sidebar. I just want to take care of that real quick because you mentioned, about like how the contract hurt the team, which we just kind of figured out that it probably won't hurt the team.
No. If
if
anything, they
the
could break
Tigers
even
willing to
based on
spend.
what they spend.
Yes. So, but what's best for Skubal? We're back to that question.
What's best for school?
So, look, I don't obviously we don't know Skubal. We don't know what his wants are. But I think anytime you're in the top of your game, when you're in any of these top leagues, whether it's NFL, NBA, MLB, top leagues in soccer, whatever, like you want to win. So even the Tigers could spend, the question is, would they spend? And I think what we've seen over the number of years is there's a resounding no, right? Yeah, you get one expensive contract, right? Which was Miguel Cabrera, right? He was getting ready to leave. They spent another, pretty big contract on
Yep.
Baez,
Yep.
right? And now Scubal's coming along. Baez's contract's up in what, 2 3 years, whatever it's going to be. Do they want to, put a second contract on the books for a couple years? And even if they do, as if you're Skubal, you have to wonder who else are they going to bring in, right? Like Otani wanted to win, so Otani deferred a lot of his money. Okay, we're not talking about deferments, not talking about anything like that. I'm just making a,
All
a
right.
case that Otani deferred money to so they're going to bring more players in because he wanted to win. Skubal wants to win just as bad as Otani or anyone else. So if he's going to get his money, he's going to want to know, hey, are you also going to spend on other free agents and players and bring them in here? Because I don't want to spend 10 years of my life more under a contract and not have a chance at winning. I don't want to, like he's going to want to win. So the question is the Tigers the best fit for him? And if you look at just, the last 14, 15, 20 years, whatever, I don't think you can say yes. That's where I'm going with it. I think the best option for him is to leave the Tigers because you're going to want to go to a team that is going to spend money to win. Whether that's going to be Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs, whatever. I don't know. But it's going to be
Arizona,
another
what,
team that spends money.
maybe Arizona, Houston,
Philadelphia,
right? I mean, there's a
Texas,
lot. Yeah,
there's a lot.
there are a lot of teams that have some. If you look at the last couple of years, teams that made the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So those teams are like some of them players. The ones that obviously didn't make it to the World Series. I would say they're like right on the cusp of the next step. So what piece can they bring in? And Skubal is that piece. Pitching is always going to help your team.
Yeah, pitching is always going to help your team. There's always so many injuries. We talked about it in the last show. 40% of current pitchers already had Tommy John.
Yep.
And some teams, suffer up to 20 plus Tommy John injuries a year. Yeah, pitching is always going to be needed. So in that scenario, you get one of the best pitchers. I, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Right? Like just that. I don't feel that for Skubal that Tiger's the right fit if Skubal has any desire to win, and I 100% believe that he does.
Yeah. He wouldn't go out and pitch as hard as he does every day if he didn't want to win.
Man, that dude's so fiery, and I love that about him. Right? Like he
That was
gets
always
pumped
my
up.
Yeah, and that was my thing about Baez for the other than this last year that we're just going to call an anomaly for now until it's repeatable, right? But
Right?
he came in and he got paid, and it to me there were just times where it felt like he was just collecting a check. He wasn't trying to get better. He didn't care that he wasn't hitting. He was fielding okay, hitting sucked, and he just didn't seem to care. He's like, I'm still getting that check. Doesn't matter. What are you gonna do? So I mean, I know in the past, like, the Tigers just aren't known to spend a lot of money. They're not, right?
Right. Right.
But I'm hoping that Scott Harris will change that maybe a little bit. Can
So
talk to the owners and get them to open the wallet a little bit.
So what I'll say is this about Baez. I'm not a fan of Baez in terms of his contribution versus his contract with Detroit. But what I have to disagree with you on is I do believe he cares because he's been
Okay,
doing a lot of off-season workout, a lot of like not just this season but previous seasons, right? Like he has worked hard to try to get better. It's just sometimes when you lose it, you lose it. I don't know. And if you ever get it back, it could take a while. But I think he does care. I just don't think that he's, been able to be successful at getting back to where he wants to be. It's like, but yeah, it looks like he doesn't care because he hasn't improved. But you don't see the behind the work
well
behind the
that's
scenes work
true,
that he's been putting
but
in.
to me, it's just that passion for wanting to do it, right? When he's getting booed, like taking that to heart, right? He just, I get that professional player. I'm sure he's out there working. He's in the cage. He's taking batting practice. He's working with a hitting guy. Like I believe that he was probably doing that, right? But
Mhm.
like in the end, it comes down to him at the plate,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how many times what you've done. So internally, you got to figure some stuff out too. We all know that most sports is almost 99% mental, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like physically, all these players are physically gifted, but getting out of your own way, right? That's why for all those years we saw them batters coming in the batter box and they had to do all this stuff, right, before they
Their
could
their
step
their
into the
their their
box.
routine
Their
with the
routine, right?
batting gloves, the
Yeah, yeah,
shirt,
yeah.
the
And it
helmet,
was after every swing they had to go through
every
the whole
pitch.
process, right? But
But yeah,
I think I agree with you. I think the best thing for Skubal is for him to find a team that and he's gonna leave because if we pay him and they're gonna give him this 31 mil or 33 million, right, through arbitration, he's gonna get it. I expect him to have just another good season, right?
yeah,
And at the end of the year, he's gonna go find a team. And there's a part of me that believes that teams feel that that's gonna be the case, and they're like, "We'll just wait, and then we can offer him the big money contract, and we don't have to give anything up."
I think that's exactly what's happening right now. Again, I think they're looking at it through the eyes of Skubal. And again, if you look at it through the eyes of Skubal, why would you want to return to Detroit, even if Detroit offers you what you're looking for? Because are they are they going to pay anyone else? I don't know. Like, I think teams like Mets, Dodgers, teams that's willing to spend money, they're now. Don't get me wrong. There's an advantage to getting Skubal into your clubhouse early. Because if he
Sure,
likes it there and you're willing to spend money and make your team better and blah blah blah, you have a better chance at signing him when his contract is over, right? And ultimately that's what you want. You want Scooble, more for than just 1 year, right? So
even half a year if you wait to the trade deadline to pick him
or
up.
even half a year pay for the trade deadline. You're right, exactly. So, but getting him in your clubhouse and letting him see, interact with the players, how the team actually operates, all that kind of stuff. If everything's in place, you got a good
Yeah,
chance of signing Scooble.
it, the culture. It all comes down to culture. Like,
Right.
how is it run? Is it player run? Is it from the top down? Is the management? Is it the manager? Like, where is that fit?
Where's it at?
And yeah,
And I think if you as a owner or GM, right? Like I think if you could trade for Skubal and get him in there early, I think you would do that. Because again, I still think
yeah,
you got the advantage. The
absolutely.
but Tigers, from what we hear, astronomical asking price is just, like there has to be a limit because you only have 1 year with Skubal, right? There has to be a limit in which you as a GM says, no, that's just too much.
Yeah. So, you know, they they lowballed him, kind of lowballed him, I guess, on in arbitration. Like, here's what we want, here's what you want. We submitted it, there it is. Right? In the end, it's almost like they're willing to let him go and they want him to be on the roster for another year. And they're willing to let him go at the end and just take the pick.
Yes. That's exactly what it sounds like they're gonna do. So and I think if you're the Tigers GM, owner, etc., you have to really think like if we can't sign Scooble, what chance do we have to win the World Series? And you've only signed really like two players, like from the free agent market. Like you're basically going in to 26 with the same offensive players that you've had in 25 and basically the same offensive players you had in 24. Like, so the only thing you're hoping for as a GM, as an owner, is that those offensive players get better year over year, right? But that's it. Like, uh, it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a fan.
And what the articles and what people are saying is like if it comes down to the trade deadline, the Tigers might not trade him if they have a possibility of making the playoffs, making a postseason. But we all know what happened last year, basically after the All-Star break, which is just before the trade deadline, and it was the total
Yeah.
collapse of the team,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, okay, you're mid-year or just after mid-year. Here's your trade deadline. we're in first place. Looks like we're going to make the playoffs, and then you total collapse. Like I, I get it's a game. Anything can happen. You got to play the game to find out the results. But
Yes.
you know, we saw it happen last year. You know, the Tigers have done. If you look at last 2 years, they made a big push at the end of 24, and then they had the great start at 25. Right?
Right.
Like if they could put a full season like that together, like shift it one, right? That's the team that you're going to make a big run in October, right?
Yes.
If you take
Exactly.
if you take the end of 24's team and the beginning of 25's team, and you put that and shift it one way or the other, and that was a full year, that's a team that's making a push in the playoff.
That's a team that has a chance to be the best record in baseball.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
the end of 24 that's what they did. They had the best record in baseball. And again, 25, depending on when you cut it off, they had the best record in baseball. Um, but again, we talked about that last show. It's like from my perspective, I thought that this is why I thought that excuse me, jeez. That's why I thought that the manager deserved manager of the year because I thought most of the production fell on him. Playing matchups, getting key hits at key times. Because if you look at a lot of the scores, they were low scoring games for the most part, right? Because the pitching staff was pretty good, and kept them to low scoring games. And you just got that one timely hit. You'd go like the entire game and it's like 2-1. Then all of a sudden you get the one timely hit, change the score, and you win 3-2. And most of the time it was the manager that's putting the players in those type of positions, and it was their base running that got them a lot of extra runs as well.
Extra
Not
runs. Yep.
stolen bases, but just base running just in general in terms of, like when balls in play.
Right. Trying to get that extra
And
bag every time.
yeah, try to get extra bag every single time, running hard. And again, so it wasn't, in my opinion, that they were just this offensive juggernaut of a team. Like it was early on, it was a lot of just timely hits, and that was and it came from players that you just didn't expect. Like you go back and some years it was like Carson Kelly, that hits like 210, and somehow he comes up big for you, in one game and you win, and then the next game it's Javi Baez that batted below 200, that gets you this big hit and it wins you the game. And it's just it was coming from a lot of players you just didn't expect. Your middle of the meat lineup, like Torkelson and Green, Gleyber Torres, Kerry Carpenter. Yeah, sure, they came up big in times, but most of the times they didn't. Most of the times they failed. And then towards the end of 24, the run was like Parker Meadows, some little tiny rookie that stepped up and got you a couple big hits. Again, just not what you were expecting. And so I don't have a lot of faith in the offense. I know like last year they were leading like in runs and a bunch of stuff, a couple times, but I'm telling you, I didn't have a lot of faith in it. And so them coming back with basically the same offensive team, that's what concerns me. So, and it should concern Skubal. And that's what we've been talking about this whole time is,
Yeah.
from Skubal's perspective. Right
Well,
now, maybe
and
Skubal
honestly,
has a lot more confidence in the players than what someone like I do. And he's in the clubhouse. And his opinion matters more than mine, obviously.
this
But
what you're saying should worry fans, right? To me, it's you have mentioned that Scott Harris is kind of in a position where he doesn't want fans to backlash if he trades Skubal.
that's what I think. Yes,
Okay. Well, based on what you just said, we are coming back with a team that did just what we happened. Historic, historic failure at the end of
yeah,
the year, right?
it was the worst
And
collapse in
you
baseball
did
history.
not, and you could change. You're gonna run it back with the team just like that. Now, again, these guys can same thing can happen, right? I get it, right? It's another year, whatever. Guys got better. I don't ever see a team without making any changes to a team. You can't continue to get better. Like you have to stay up with the times.
You're gonna see a couple new faces. I believe How You Lee is gonna be on the team this year, right? He's
Right.
gonna get every
And you're
chance.
saying new
Also,
faces, but these are guys that are coming out because they're playing in AAA. They're in our farm system. These are the
yes,
faces
they're
you're
gonna be
talking about.
rookies. Yes, those are new faces, and you're not going to, um, and it's unrealistic to expect them to that come in the league, set on fire, and hit 300 with 20 home runs. Like, it's just not realistic.
Right.
Mm, You look at some of the hitters, whether it's Torkelson, Riley Green, Cole Keith. So there's a lot of struggling going on, as they're coming adapting to Major League Baseball pitching. And so realistically, I don't even care if it's McGonigal. Like, if you think McGonigal can come into Major League Baseball this season, right out of spring training and hit 320 and have the same strikeout percentage, walk percentage, and everything that he has in minor league baseball, you're out of your mind. Like, the chances of that actually occurring is so astronomically low that you might as well just write it off and say it's not going to happen.
I would
Obviously, there's
take
always chances.
Yeah, I would take 280 to 290.
Oh, I would too. But again, I don't think he would,
Not it's not
right?
yeah, it's not realistic.
It's not
To me,
realistic.
yeah, it's like expecting a rookie quarterback to come out and the transit the game is different.
The game's
The
different.
college game to the pro game is different. Triple A is
And
different because the pitching is
Triple A is
different.
different, Double A is different, Single A is different. And look, I love McGonigal. Like, last year at the start of the season, I called it and said McGonigal is one of the best hitters in college base or in minor league baseball. And if you get a chance, go watch him. Right?
And
Like,
and he proved it.
and he proved it. So I'm high on McGonigal. I like the kid. I think he's going to be a great professional, right? But just expecting him to hit the ground running as if he's some sort of veteran, with like 5 or 6 years experience, it's unrealistic,
Well,
you know?
and and if he does have some quick early success, you gotta settle that down because no one's seen his at bats. Everybody's got a tendency, right? So the more tape that there is on a guy at the MLB level, right?
Yes.
The more
Eventually,
it's going to
teams and
he's gonna
pitchers figure
drop.
you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
But at any rate, look, Skubal, again, everything goes back to Skubal. That's what we've been talking about. Is, if you were Skubal, if you were in his shoes, right? The final question I have for you is, after everything we discussed, do you think the Tigers would be the best fit for you?
no, they are 5 years out. We've said this a lot. They are several years, whether we say it's 5 years, they are several years out from being an annually competitive team,
Annually competitive team. Yeah.
right? Several years from that. So, do I want to spend the early part of my prime with a team that's still building when I could go to a team that's maybe one or two players away and like they're going to be competitive next year? I,
Or you go to some place like the Dodgers that's been competitive, multiple years in a row and won 2 World Series
yeah,
back to back.
right. So you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, for me,
Dad always said you got to look out for number one
absolutely, because nobody else is going to.
because no one else is going to, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is.
I think that's why I think that, again, we're talking about it. I personally don't think that Tiger's right fit either, because they haven't shown it. They don't have the history recently. And what are you gonna do? You gonna go off of
Now,
like
see, I need to see action. I need to see them making some changes in the clubhouse. And I mean by like the manager. I'm like you've got to bring in some experienced players who are going to come out and make you better,
and make you better, right? Right.
right? Like who's the guy that came into the Tiger help and you said something you like made a mention to Baez about we just throw you wherever we want to throw you because you know you're going to swing. You got to stop
Right.
swinging,
Yeah, stop swinging.
right?
Yeah.
And ironically, that if that's the thing that got in the Javi's head and helped him, awesome. That's the kind of stuff that we need to come back into the clubhouse, right? Somebody who's like, "This is how we used to pitch you. This is why we pitched you this way. You can take it now. You can make that change. You have to be able to do that."
Well, I just think overall the group needs just more talent,
Yeah.
right? More
Well,
consistent talent. Like,
look at
I like Parker Meadows, I like Colt Keith, right? But we need more consistent production. I like Riley Green, but dude, stop striking out.
yeah. So the Dodgers just went back to back, right?
Yes.
How much how much change have they made since they won their second World Series moving into the next year? Have they brought guys in?
They signed the best outfielder available in free agency in Kyle Tucker. Right. That was probably like the big move. It was just, and again, that was like one of their biggest weaknesses. They didn't have a lot of production from the outfield, so they went out and got the best offensive outfielder available in free agency.
So even the best went out to get better.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's what the Tigers need to be thinking about. You had a team
And
that just went back to back World Series and still went out and spent a boatload of money to get better.
and they also signed the best closer on the market because if you remember, Roki Sasaki got thrown into that closer role, towards the end. But they went out and signed again the best closer on the market in Edwin Diaz. So the two areas of need that hurt them last year, they went out and made the biggest signings you can. I mean, they're paying Kyle Tucker $240 million over 4 years, which is insane.
And again, I'm at this point where teams need to take notice. Teams that are struggling and aren't doing anything, you're not doing anything because you're not spending anything. You don't really want to get better. You say it to everybody, oh, we're doing what
Right.
we need to do to get better. Oh, we're doing what we need to do to get better. But until you go out there and you prove it to everybody that you're trying to go out there and get better, you're never going to get better.
Right.
The Tigers
Yeah.
could make a run, right? They could make the ALCS this year. It's
Sure,
possible,
they could. Yes.
right? They've got
Yes.
talent. They've got pretty good pitching, right?
Yes.
If all the things come into play, they could be in the ALCS,
100% they could.
right? So it's not like I'm saying that they're horrible. I'm just saying you can't take the same team and expect to get better results with the same players.
I mean, again, Tigers are so young. You hope young players take a step forward, right? But aside from how much better are they going to get? Like, at what point do they already hit their ceiling? You hope young
I
players like
keep going
Colt
back to
Keith and them
Torkelson.
haven't.
Right. I
Right.
go back to Torkelson. How this is gonna be his 4th year or 5th year with Tigers? Is it 4?
5th, I think.
Coming up, it'd be his 5th season, right? Like since he was called up.
I think. One second, I'm just double checking. He made his MLB debut in 22, so 26 would be his 5th year.
So he's had his struggles, and he's still
Yeah.
having like it's not that he's not hitting for power because you talked about that on the last show. But what I'm saying is the consistency that we're looking for is not there, right? And he's still struggling, and I think
Yep.
he's still struggling to adapt to pitching.
Well, he is like he's had some like we talked about it. Well, I talked about it in length when he was struggling in 24 specifically. In 24 he finished with only 10 home runs and a 220 batting average because he got sent down to AAA, right? And it was his approach at the plate that was hurting him the most in 24. So he would try pulling even pitches on the outside. And again, we just mentioned, quick mention about Baez and how pitchers would out, whatever we wanted to throw, we just always swing outside because you'd always swing.
Yep.
But Torkelson was very similar. He'd always swing. Torkelson may make contact, like he wasn't as bad as Baez at chasing, but the contact he'd make when you're trying to pull an outside pitch is going to be little piddly contact. It's going to be very soft, very easy outs. And that's what Torkelson was struggling at, was the outside, part of the plate, because he was trying to pull everything. When we started seeing a difference in 25 was, if you go back and listen to some of the shows, we talked about like, hey, he actually hit an opposite field home run, right? Like he didn't pull it. It was an outside pitch. He took it outside and it went over the wall. That was like a good big turning point for Torkelson, going from 24 to 25. If he just kind of like, wow, I'm going to go another little tangent. If you listen to all these so-called experts talk about hitting, it's like they want you to pull the ball, right? They want you to pull the ball as much as possible because that's where you have most of your power at, right? So pull, get the ball in the air, get it over the wall. That's what they want. And I hate that approach. I really hate that approach. Like you want to take what the pitcher gives you, whether it doesn't matter what. Like if it's gonna be a strike in the outside corner, it's a strike in the outside corner, right? Now, if you only got, if you got less than 2 strikes, you can take it, right? That's fine, take it. But if it's a 2-strike count, like you have to protect the plate. You got to swing. And why are you going to try to pull that pitch? Take it to the opposite field, right? Like it drives me nuts when There's so much talk about pull, 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 pull. And then you look at the metrics, they're saying, hey, pull percentage is 50%. Yeah, he might have pulled the outside pitch, but it was also a ground ball with a shortstop with easy out. Like, I don't care if you pull an outside pitch and it gives you a better percentage of pull, like a better pull percentage. I don't give a shit. Sorry, but I'm just so passionate about this. I don't care about pull percentage when, like, when you're trying to cover the plate on 2 strikes, and it's like, oh, if I don't pull this pitch, and all of a sudden now my pull percentage is gonna be down, and my metrics will make me get a lower contract or whatever they're going through their heads. I have no idea. Just
Yeah,
take this stupid thing opposite field. That's all
yeah.
you gotta do.
Because what do you have to do to win games?
Get on base.
You gotta get on base.
You know,
So get on base. Doesn't matter if it went the right, doesn't doesn't matter if you took it opposite field. I think those are the best. I love watching opposite field hits because the ball just travels weird and it makes it tough. It puts a different rotation on the ball depending on how you hit it.
well,
You
if
know,
if you can if you can hit opposite field and do that regularly, it opens up so much more of the game, right?
yeah,
If you're a right-handed hitter, you got a guy on first, you do a hit and run. The second baseman's going to cover second, and you got that huge gap on the right side of the field,
yeah,
right? Then if you're able
and
to punch it over there, that might
yeah,
score the guy from first base.
yeah, because it could try hits the ground, keeps on rolling once it gets past, goes all the way up into the corner.
Even
How
if
many
it
times
doesn't
have we
go into the
seen that?
corner, right?
Yeah,
But even if it doesn't, right? Even if it's just a little ground ball through the infield, by the time the right fielder's running in to make the play because he's playing further out. I mean, we've seen some runners that can go 90 feet in less than 4 seconds, right? So now you're basically talking about going 180 feet because the guy's basically being second base when the ball gets hit, right? So I talk about 180 feet, and how fast can you run 180 feet in 6-7 seconds? And how long is it going to take the right fielder to field the ball and throw it home? Like you have a real good chance at going first to third if you have a guy that can routinely hit the ball. But we're talking about more small ball stuff. But small ball stuff has gone away, right? Everybody wants to be able to hit over the fence.
yeah.
And
It's what
Jacob
it's what happened
Wilson,
in basketball. Everyone needs. It's all about the 3-pointer. Nobody wants to work it down inside.
well, now the Pistons, but that's a whole different uh,
Well, they're
conversation.
old school.
They are old school. I love
They
watching them
are old
play.
school.
But the like Jacob Wilson, I listened to a YouTube show. I don't remember the name of it. Has the word stats in it or something like that. And he was talking about hitters that's going to regress. This coming year. And Jacob Wilson was one of the hitters that said it was going to regress. And he talked about some of the underlying metrics. And don't get me wrong, this guy was right about everything he was saying, underlying metrics and all that kind of stuff, right? But he was one of the people that talked about like line drive percentage, opposite field percentage, pull percentage, and I just don't. And yeah, Jacob Wilson, he's not a home run hitter, right? He had 10 home runs, but he only had 4 or 5 no doubters, which means that there'd have been a home run in any ballpark, right? He had help because he played in basically a minor league ballpark where Oakland's currently playing in, right? So he had a little bit of help there. But just because of that, like, I don't think he's going to regress in terms of on base. He's going to regress in terms of home run power, especially when they go to Vegas, because that's just not his approach. He's more like a, Tony Gwynn or something like that, right? The guy that's just going to slap the ball, get on base, and go, like he's not going to strike out. He's going to be a competitive at bat, every at bat. He's going to walk or put the ball in play. And I like that kind of player. But those type of players, people just don't value no more because it's not exciting. And that's one of the reasons why he lost the rookie of the year to Nick Kurtz, because that dude is a rookie, hit like 40 some odd bombs, right? Don't get me wrong, he had a good average too. The guy was just a monster last year as far as hitting goes. But so I'm not saying he got robbed or nothing like that. Nick Kurtz was deserving. But it's like he didn't get as many votes as what he could have gotten because, if he did hit more home runs, he'd have got more consideration. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Nobody really, cares for the Tony Gwynn type of hitter. Everybody would talk about how great of a hitter Tony Gwynn is, one of the
for
best
sure.
hitters of all time, right? But
Right.
then in the same breath, after talking about how good of a hitter Tony Gwynn is, when you have a hitter that's has a similar profile to Tony Gwynn, hits, puts a ball in play, doesn't strike out, all that kind of stuff. Nobody really values that type of player. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But anyways, again, I ranted. So but any last word that you got to say as far as anything we're talking about? We got to kind of wrap up the show.
I know. Yep. I hope Tarik Skubal does what's best for him. And the Tigers are gonna. I think the Tigers are just gonna like they're gonna have egg in their face, and the fans are gonna be. Sky Harris is afraid that what the fans might be like if he trades Skubal. Imagine what happens when you don't trade him and you get nothing in the return.
I agree.
Imagine what those fans are going to say. That's the thing I think
And
you need to be thinking about.
the funny thing about it is, it's the same fans. The
It's the
same
same
fans.
fans. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You were that exactly true. So that's it.
But at any rate, look, if you guys watched all the way through, we appreciate it. Go ahead and do your little like and subscribe thing. That'd be great. Appreciate it.
And
Uh,
forward, save, do all that stuff. We like it.
and write down in there what you agree with and what you don't, right? Or write in comments as far as as if there's a topic you want us to cover in terms of baseball or football. I don't know, we cover everything really. There's been a lot of baseball talk recently, but I appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys later. See you next show. See ya.
Take care.